everyone. I'm Jenny from AI1 English Podcast Practice. Welcome to today's episode where we'll be talking about a really important concept that affects all of us, the myth of multitasking. Before we begin, I have a small request. If you're listening to this podcast while doing something else, like browsing social media or replying to emails, try to pause those activities and just focus on listening. This actually relates perfectly to our topic today. The first really important principle when it comes to mastering your focus is this: there is no such thing as effective multitasking. Yes, you heard me right. Human beings are inherently awful at doing multiple things at once that require mental focus. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how educated you are, or how good you think you are at juggling tasks. Research has consistently shown that we can only focus well on one thing at a time. You might be thinking, "But Jenny, I multitask all the time. I can watch TV while texting my friends." Well, what's actually happening is your brain is rapidly switching between tasks, and there's a significant switching cost every time this happens. Every time you glance away from what you're doing, your brain needs time to adjust to the new task, and then time to readjust when you go back. So you're not actually saving any time. In fact, you're probably losing time and making more mistakes. A perfect example of this is texting while driving. Many people think they can do this safely, but the highway accident statistics tell a different story. People always think they're great at it until something terrible happens. You cannot give your full attention to the road when you're also trying to type a message on your phone. The same principle applies to our daily work. If you think you can send an email, be on a phone call, browse the internet, and respond to social media all at the same time, you're only fooling yourself. You won't accomplish as much as you think, and the quality of your work will suffer. Now, I know what you might be thinking. "Jenny, you don't understand my life. I have so many things to do." I completely understand that life is complicated and busy, but I'm not saying you can't get multiple things done in a day. I'm saying you'll be more efficient if you focus on one task at a time without distractions. Of course, there are exceptions. You can brush your teeth while showering because neither activity requires your full mental attention. You can walk down the street while drinking coffee as long as you don't fall or spill your drink. But for important tasks where your brain needs to be engaged, like learning English, writing something meaningful, or having an important conversation, your brain can only focus effectively on one thing at a time. This principle is critically important, especially in our digital age where distractions are everywhere. If you're trying to study English while also listening to music with lyrics or checking your phone notifications, you cannot give your full attention to learning. The result? It will take you much longer to make progress. So my challenge to you today is simple. When you're doing something important, put away other distractions. If you're studying English, turn off notifications. If you're having a conversation, put your phone away. You'll accomplish more, make fewer mistakes, and actually save time in the long run. We all tell ourselves we can multitask effectively, but the truth is, I can't do it well, and neither can you. Now, let's take a moment to look at some of the interesting vocabulary we've used in today's discussion. These words are really useful for talking about focus and productivity. The first word is inherently. I said that humans are inherently awful at multitasking. This adverb means that something is a natural or essential characteristic. When something is inherent, it's a basic part of the nature of something. For example, children are inherently curious about the world around them. Or, this material is inherently stronger than the one we used before. Next, we talked about switching cost. A switching cost is the negative effect in terms of time, energy, or quality that occurs when you change from one task to another. In everyday life, you might experience switching costs when you interrupt your work to check email, then try to get back to work. Another example, there's a significant switching cost when changing between different software programs during a presentation. The third word is accomplish, which means to successfully complete something or achieve a goal. In the podcast, I mentioned that you won't accomplish as much when multitasking. Here are other ways to use this word. She accomplished all her goals for the project ahead of schedule. Or, with consistent practice, you can accomplish remarkable progress in your English skills. Fourth, we have distractions. Things that prevent someone from giving their full attention to something else. I talked about putting away distractions when doing important tasks. Some other examples. Noise-canceling headphones help eliminate distractions in busy offices, or social media notifications are common distractions for students. Finally, we used the word critically, an adverb meaning in an extremely important or essential way. I mentioned that focusing on one task at a time is critically important. You might also hear, it's critically important to back up your computer files regularly, or getting enough sleep is critically important for your health. Now let's talk about some grammar we used throughout this episode. Modal verbs of ability, particularly can, can't, could, and couldn't. These verbs help us express what someone is able or unable to do. In today's episode, I said things like, we can only focus on one thing at a time, and you cannot give your full attention to two things at once. These statements use the modal verb can, or its negative form cannot, can't, to talk about general abilities. The modal verb can is used to express ability or possibility in the present. For example, I can speak 2 languages, or she can finish the project by tomorrow. The negative form cannot or can't expresses inability. He can't attend the meeting tomorrow, or, as I said in the podcast, you can't multitask effectively. We also have could and couldn't, which can be used to talk about past abilities. When I was younger, I could stay up all night studying. Or, she couldn't understand the lecture because it was too technical. These modal verbs are incredibly useful in everyday English, so pay attention to how they're used in different contexts. Before we wrap up today's episode, I want to encourage you to practice both single tasking and using the vocabulary and grammar we've discussed. Try to focus on one thing at a time today, whether it's studying English, working on a project, or even just enjoying a meal without looking at your phone. Notice how it feels and whether you accomplish more. Thank you so much for listening to AI 1 English Podcast Practice. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our channel and share it with friends who are learning English. Remember, effective learning, just like effective work, happens when we give it our full, undivided attention. Until next time, this is Jenny saying goodbye and wishing you focused, productive days ahead.